right, let's bring in my first guest here, Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Joe, thanks so much for joining me on the U.S. Report. That government there is still shut down, and that shutdown looks like it's going to remain in place for a while as lawmakers shift the blame for who is responsible. Now, neither side seems to be wanting to back down here, so what happens next, and is anybody still buying the Democrat spin that, no, we don't really want to provide health care for undocumented migrants, and that's why this is such a crisis?
Right, except they do, and it's in their proposal. So, yeah, losing that argument at this point, James. But overall, I think that many Americans, if you just drive around our streets today or you talk to some folks, no one would know the government is shut down because nothing is being impacted. In other words, our garbage here, I'm in New Jersey, is still being picked up, recycling still being picked up, mail still being delivered, police still on the job, our military nationally is still ready and able to do whatever they have to. I could go on, but overall, I don't think many people care about this government shutdown because, again, it's not something that they feel. And unless the American people feel something like this, then therefore they're going to look at it and say, okay, I guess this is just Republicans and Democrats fighting again and not getting anything done. But overall, Democrats are to blame here because Republicans passed a clean bill in the House and then sent it to the Senate, and then Democrats decided we're going to vote against it. So this is on them. And I think the American people know it.
Yeah, no, I think they do know it. That's my sense of it. Has the Democrats' tactic then here blown up? Because normally what the Democrats try and do is create a crisis and then say, oh, we're the ones who are trying to defend all your services, your national parks, or your this, or your that, or your Social Security. That does not seem to have worked this time.
No, it is not, James, because, again, the Democratic Party, their approval rating right now in the United States, according to Quinnipiac University, is 19%. 19%. Gas station sushi here in the States is more popular than the Democratic Party right now. And I had some today. Don't get me wrong. I'm not against it. I'm one of those 19%, I suppose. But the bottom line is that, again, when Democrats talk about that Republicans are destroying democracy and Donald Trump is authoritarian and a fascist and Hitler, I'm sorry, when you've been saying this for 10 years, after a while, it's a boy who cried wolf kind of situation where no one's really listening anymore. And this appears to be a party that whines and complains a lot, the Democrats, but actually never offers up any sort of solution outside of Donald Trump is bad. We're here to save democracy and vote for us. I'm sorry, that's not a message. Yeah. You have to give people positive, optimistic solutions around the things that they think are a problem for the country today. And this Democratic Party simply is not doing that, James.
Well, that 19% there, that proves what I was just saying a little while ago in the program, that this is another 80-20 issue that they're on the wrong side of. Now, beyond the gas station sushi, there's other brave people, our war fighters, Defense Department people, War Department now people. War Secretary Pete Hegseth had an address this week to top U.S. generals and admirals. Here's a little of what he had to say.
We unleash overwhelming and punishing violence on the enemy. We also don't fight with stupid rules of engagement. We untie the hands of our warfighters to intimidate, demoralize, hunt, and kill the enemies of our country.
Joe, I thought this was very important, and I think much of the media missed the point when they talked about him fat-shaming, officers and generals for not passing their PT certifications. But this point here, that the Department of War, that the Pentagon is about fighting and winning wars, this is a real breath of fresh air.
Oh, and Pete's a friend, so I may be a little biased here, of course, having been on with him many years on Fox and Friends Weekend and other places. But let me just take that aside for a second. Yeah, let's fat shame all the generals that have become overweight and are not great examples for their troops. I mean, I'll just make it personal here for a second, if you don't mind. My football coach in high school, Fred Keel, former Marine. This guy looked like Popeye, and he was in his 50s. And when he asked you to sprint 100 yards and then sprint 100 yards back, you did it because he looked like he was in shape. He looked like somebody who was not being hypocritical. And when Pete Hegseth calls out these generals for being out of shape and they should probably go through the same training that they ask their very troops to do, I don't know. Again, 80-20, I think 80% of Americans say, yeah, that should be the case. So good for Pete. And these generals here that have been, eating a little bit too much and not training enough, maybe this will wake them up. But I thought this was so refreshing to hear somebody who's the Secretary of War say, we all need to be on the same page and be held to the same standards. That's something that most people would agree on.
Yeah, and I'd love to know how many chin-ups General Milley could do. I don't know. He might get a bit of white rage. He might get a bit of white rage if you asked him to do some of that there. But, hey, there was a bit of fun this week also with the White House doing up memes of House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, or as some people call him, the Timu Obama, in a sombrero. Now, here's one of them.
It's a disgusting video, and we're going to continue to make clear bigotry will get you nowhere. We are fighting to protect the health care of the American people in the face of an unprecedented Republican assault.
Now, you got to laugh here. They've even been looping this in the White House press briefing room. But the Democrats are melting down and crying racism. Have they lost their sense of humor or what?
Oh, I think it's weird, James, because the old days being like the 2000s or, the 90s, where Republicans were seen as white, old, stuffy, boring, rich guys. Now they're like the cool party, right? Because of Trump, because of Vance, and because of memes like this, while Democrats are just insufferable in terms of they're complaining, they're whining over this stuff. When, let's put it this way, if the bar is, if you call somebody Hitler, an authoritarian, a fascist, that apparently is okay, but God forbid you put forth a meme of a sombrero wearing Hakeem Jeffries playing to Mexican music in the background with Trump playing the guitar. That's somehow offensive. I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure Hitler outweighs sombrero in this situation, so they have no moral high ground here. And again, they just look, I don't know, petulant. That's the only word that comes to mind, James.
Petulant and humorless, too, is one I would add there, too.
Yeah.
Hey, also, Joe, I had never heard of this fellow called Bad Bunny before, and I know that everybody at home is laughing and saying, oh, Mauro, you're so square, you're so unhip there. But you've written a great piece in the Washington Examiner about the NFL, which has decided to have Bad Bunny come in as next year's Super Bowl halftime show act. Well, he's apparently a big anti-ICE guy. Who is this guy? And tell us, why is the NFL doing this again? What is with all these woke sports organizations here just going down this path again? Haven't they learned anything from Black Lives Matter?
Precisely. Or from, I don't know, Target or from Bud Light. Like, don't hire somebody who may piss off half the country. If you hire him to do a Super Bowl halftime show where 125 million people are watching live and God knows how many on social media clips afterwards. Bad Bunny is a real leftist. And look, I don't care if you're a leftist or a rightist, quite frankly. Why not just hire somebody who doesn't really engage in political theater like Bad Bunny does for your Super Bowl halftime show? Metallica, I'm a fan, I have to admit. They're from San Francisco, that area. That's where the Super Bowl is being played this year. Why not hire them to do the Super Bowl halftime show? Because, again, we have not had a rock band since The Who play the Super Bowl halftime show.
That's a great point.
And that was 16 years ago. The Who, of all people. Like, wow, they were around then. I couldn't believe it. The bottom line is that you hire somebody like this, and you're only going to invite trouble. And the fact that Bad Bunny had a big problem with ICE being outside of his concerts. Well, yeah, outside of one of his concerts, they arrested somebody who committed homicide, was a rapist, and abused young children. So if you're against that, then you're against, I don't know, curing cancer. And that's where Bad Bunny stands. And that's why so many Americans are angry that the NFL, which gets great ratings and does so well as far as being a product, just stepped in it again as far as hiring this clown to be their halftime show.
Bad Bunny, bad choice. Joe Concha, we're going to have to leave it there. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, James. Have a good one.